And we are live, everybody. Friday, November 28th, the day after Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I'm Josh Engleman, and I'm here to break down two very different slates. They really couldn't be much different. I was hoping that FanDuel would follow in DraftKings' footsteps today. However, they didn't. So we have a 6-game DraftKings slate that locks at 7:30. And those are the only games that exist. 6 games, 7:30 start. FanDuel kept the other 5 games. So you have the full slate on FanDuel and essentially a half slate on DraftKings. That is going to cause some interesting disparities in everything we're about to do. All of the data is going to be different depending on whether or not you're playing on DraftKings or you're playing on FanDuel. Every play is different. Jake, congrats. Thanks for signing up. Dog hot. Love to see it, man. Love to see it. What does this button do? In the corner of my screen. Where is the corner of the screen that's showing these messages? Because I don't see it. I'm trying to put this on full screen for myself. This doesn't matter to you guys, but since there's like 10 of you, I can talk through it. And there's a button that says that if I have this full screen, which allows me to see this a little bit better, then your chat messages are supposed to show up on the screen. Well, that's not happening. So we're not going to do that. Or at least I'm not going to do that. But we are going to talk about this slate. It should come as no surprise that I'm going to focus a bit more on those first 6 games, and then we will likely just bulk go through those final 5. So let's get started right now. Before we do, easy part. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. I'm going to attack Twitter like gangbusters starting Monday. Planning today, Monday, big time. Let's break it down, shall we? So here's a look at what we have for today. Cavs Hawks 7:30, Sixers Nets 7:30, Bulls Hornets 7:30, Magic Pistons 7:30, Wizards Pacers 7:30, Bucks Knicks 7:30. And then we have 5 more games. There's a 2-hour gap. Nothing happens from Bucks Knicks. We wait 2 hours to lock Suns Thunder, Spurs Nuggets, Kings Jazz, and then we get the 10 o'clocks for Mavs Lakers and Grizzlies Clippers. It's wild, man. Nothing good ever comes of what does this button do? Yeah. No, if you're playing the DraftKings main today, whatever you put in at 7:30 is what you get. That should be kind of interesting. Be prepared for live before lock. Those dudes, 6:30 to 7:30 tonight, probably going to get hit with like a fire hose of nonsense. It's going to be so ridiculous. But we'll worry about that later. For now, let's worry about the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Atlanta Hawks. Shall we? For Cleveland, Jared Allen is probable. Dean Wade is questionable. Craig Porter Jr. is questionable. Still no Sam Merrill. Cavs are 5.5-point favorites. 239 total. Atlanta, kind of just what we know. Caleb Houston's questionable. I don't think we are super concerned about that. We can skip it. So now I've got Atlanta and Cleveland pulled up. And one guy is certainly pulling away from the pack here. Power forward, 9,800, Jalen Johnson, 30% owned, 25% optimal. I mean, certainly looks good. I don't want to undersell Jalen Johnson here at all. But just looking at, I know it hasn't been the same thing this year, but just looking at it, I can't not look at $8,600 Evan Mobley. Same position, $1,200 cheaper. Also good. I mean, lower boom, lower everything. I can't look at Evan Mobley be 7% owned and Jalen Johnson be 31 and think, well, I should probably get more Jalen Johnson and less Evan Mobley. Immediately in this game, I'm just like, all right, I'd love to be, I see our optimal is a little bit lower on Jalen Johnson in comparison to his ownership. I look at that and it's like, oh yeah, like what if I'm just around the optimal rate and I 2x Evan Mobley? Like that's more appealing to me. It's even like these guys aren't all that owned, but like whether it's Porzingis at 6,800 or Jared Allen at 5,700, like I think both of those guys look solid. Now we have Kristaps Porzingis massively underowned at 6,800 right now. I don't really have much of a disagreement. He looks fantastic. That's a really low price tag. When he plays, he plays. That's really all that matters. Similar for Jared Allen. Like he's had an interesting start where the minutes aren't really there, but the performance is. So I kind of like this game a little bit more than what the ownership is showing. Like Jalen Johnson's neutral to me, but we have Porzingis massively underowned. I agree. I wouldn't mind having a bit more Jared Allen in this scenario. I think Evan Mobley is underrepresented given what we're looking at. I certainly wouldn't have any issues with Nickeil Alexander-Walker or DeAndre Hunter. And then it goes without saying that like you can play Donovan Mitchell, but with Darius Garland here, Mitchell at 9,600, unquestionably overpriced for what we have. It's going to be pretty difficult to go that direction. So the priorities are going to be Jalen Johnson, and then to me, the other bigs, whether that's Porzingis, whether that's Jared Allen, or whether that's Evan Mobley. Now, reminder, FanDuel, twice as many games. I'm only going to take a very quick peek at this just so everybody can see the data to the start of the day. Jalen Johnson, 20% owned. KP, power forward center, 7K, massively underowned. We'll see what that looks like by the time we get to lock. Those numbers will just come together in some way. Probably ends up like in the low 20s. Jared Allen's fine. Again, he also has the power forward center eligibility. Oddly enough, it's mostly the same story across both sites. That's not going to be the case for most of these scenarios. But at least in this case, it is. You guys like anything in this one that I haven't mentioned? This doesn't strike me as a game where you're going deep. Where you're like, I like Risa Shea or Vic Krejci or I don't. It doesn't seem like that kind of game. It seems like if you're getting to this one, you're getting to like the main dudes, or you're getting to nothing at all. Let's get some coffee. How is this already not hot? That is depressing. Let me take another sip because I think the next time that I get back to this coffee, it's awful. Is it hard to do my analysis when not at my home setup? No, it's just different, but it doesn't really change anything. It's just less comfortable more than anything else. And I am a man that appreciates his comforts. Next game up, Philly, Brooklyn. So, Paul George, questionable. Adem Bona, probable. Jared McCain, available. No Embiid, no Oubre, no Trendon Watford, no VJ Edgecombe. Watford playing relatively solid minutes. We're talking about having to replace 18 minutes or something like that today. And it's not like Philly's been going extra special deep in some of these spots. I assume Drummond starts over Barlow, but we shall see. That'll be a conversation for later. But let's look at this Philly-Brooklyn game. I guess I should hop back over to Brooklyn, although they don't have too much worth saying. Philly 7.5-point favorites here, 224 total. Ben Saraff is questionable. I mean, I guess this point does matter. Michael Porter Jr. isn't playing today. So we're looking at a starting lineup of the Igor Demon, Terrence Mann, Zaire Williams, Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton. God, this team is so bad. So bad. Jeff, thank you. We did. It was great. So, assuming you guys are looking at the screen right now, there's a lot going on in this one. And I want to give a note here, particularly for Brooklyn. Don't get married to the data you see right now. With no Michael Porter Jr. here, with no Cam Thomas here, locking down everything that's happening for Brooklyn is bigger than a 8 a.m. walkthrough. Tyrese Martin, massively owned. Now, we have crazy negative leverage on him right now. This is all going to come out in the wash later. But whether he's 30% optimal or 50% owned, and those are the things, he's still incredibly popular one way or the other. What that leverage looks like later will be helpful as more data comes out, as the betting markets get more updated. But either way, point guard, shooting guard, $3,600 Tyrese Martin is going to be popular. $9,900 Tyrese Maxey is already 45% owned. Noah Clowney's 35% owned, 23% optimal. He's just going to be popular. The Igor Demon is 25% owned, but has the positive leverage. Again, all of these sizable leverage marks will flatten out as the day goes on. The takeaway isn't the relativity between them both. It's just that these guys are popular. So is Zaire Williams at 3,800. So is Drake Powell at 3,500. That's a lot of Brooklyn value. I mean, so whether it's Martin, Clowney, Igor Demon, Zaire Williams, Drake Powell, Claxton's 15% owned with 25% optimal. Day'Ron Sharpe got the 10% ownership. And then we can get into conversations about Andre Drummond or Quentin Grimes. With Paul George back, it doesn't make me love most of Philly. I think that Tyrese Maxey is pretty clearly the best option, and I don't think that anybody is even near him when it comes to Philadelphia 76ers. But I want to open up the conversation to you guys, not based on the data that we have on the screen, but based on your thoughts for the Brooklyn Nets today. Because everybody's going to get there in some way. What would you guys like to get from Brooklyn today? Because there are some things that I certainly just feel better about. For example, $5,100 Noah Clowney is the guy that I have the most confidence in from Brooklyn. Because he plays even when they're good. Or sorry, when they're trying to be good. The second guy that I want out of this group is probably Zaire Williams. 3,800, small forward, power forward. Assuming he starts, anybody could start. It's a Brooklyn team that's missing their only two good offensive players. You're going to play a bunch of Brooklyn today. But I want to know what you guys are looking at. All right. Stephen Leibowitz says Clowney and Williams. Love it. Mohammed says Clowney, Martin. Travis. Porter Jr. not playing. It's kind of important. Keith Jackson, Claxton, and Mann. Drake Powell scares me, but at the very least, he has exceptional positionality. You're getting guard forward. It's not that I'm uncomfortable taking Tyrese Martin because he does look great and he gets minutes pretty regularly. But I do have trouble, like, if this held, I'd have trouble chasing down. I think there's just so much more variance in these guys that these guys should all be a lot closer than it appears right now. If the Igor Demon can fall into like 28 minutes, that becomes a thing. I don't know what they're going to do with Ben Saraf if he's back today. Probably nothing of value. This doesn't strike me as a Day'Ron Sharpe day. That said, I'd probably have a bit. Jeff Williams and Muhammad, basically same comment here. Sharpe for all the blowout run. Sharpe is a sneaky play. Is he, though? Day'Ron Sharpe has played north of 18 minutes once in the last 10 games. It just so happens to have been the most recent game. Split the minutes with Nick Claxton, but 31-17, 35-13, 30-18. Like, there's really no scenario where Day'Ron Sharpe does get extra minutes. The only real path to that is Nick Claxton playing less. There really isn't blowout run for Day'Ron Sharpe. He doesn't really get that. Great per minute guy. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like he's a no. But he doesn't really like fall. Like, you guys can see it on the screen. There aren't games where like suddenly he plays 26 minutes and plays like the whole fourth quarter. And trust me, Brooklyn's going to be in plenty of blowouts to find out. But he just doesn't get that run in the same way. And if he's not going to get that run, I think it's probably not worth like the true I want to take that stand. Dog, I don't think that's crazy. He said my complete brain dead action this morning is clicking on Jalen Wilson. I mean, he played 23 minutes last time out. Now that was with no Zaire Williams. That was also with Michael Porter Jr. So, like, for the most part, that kind of comes out in the wash. There's no reason he can't play 20-something minutes again and play more than Terrence Mann or play more than Zaire Williams. Realistically, like, it wouldn't even surprise me if he played more than the Igor Demon. I doubt it, but he could. 28, 28, and 29 for the Demon over the last three. Something to keep in mind. But pay attention to this game. The data on Brooklyn is going to move around. So don't make your opinions now. Wait till we get better data throughout the day. FanDuel's kind of the same situation. Tyrese Martin getting a bunch of love, 4K, guard forward. Clowney, Tyrese Maxey at 10-4. Grimes, much more interesting on FanDuel. He's 20% owned. I think that's a much better spot if you're going to Grimes. But the Igor Demon's getting 20. That's where it falls off, though. We don't have this sea of 3K guys like we do on DraftKings. All these guys from Brooklyn on FanDuel are all already in the 4Ks, which means they're like $500 higher priced relative. Martin at 4K, Igor Demon at 4,300, Zaire's at 4, Mann's at 42, Drake Powell is at 4. Even Day'Ron Sharpe's at 41. So very, very different game. But still, the starters Whether it's Martin and Clowney, like I think we're just getting to those guys pretty easily. Same for the Igor Demon. Train keeps moving on. Bulls, Hornets. Now, whatever I said about the Brooklyn rotation, take that like tenfold for Chicago. Kobe White, questionable. Nikola Vucevic, questionable. Kevin Huerter, questionable. Patrick Williams, questionable. So, super fun. Oh, by the way, Dalen Terry, questionable. Isaac Okoro, doubtful. So we've got a very different setup here for the Chicago side. Something that we largely can't deal with. Bulls are 2.5-point favorites, 247 total against the Hornets. On the Hornets side, pretty easy. No Connaughton, no KJ Simpson, no Drew Peterson in terms of like guys that have been around. No other injury news for these guys otherwise. So at least the Charlotte side of this one isn't all that bad. The Bulls, we're really not even going to bother here too much. Yeah, Kareem, to be honest, I'm stealing that. I can't remember if it was Greg or Eric that said it. I am typically a guy that says all of these things correctly, but this one's too fun. So you can see on the screen right now on DraftKings, there's no ownership to this game. I think we could hit Charlotte first. $4,100 Kalkbrenner 7. If you think LaMelo Ball is going to get 32 minutes today, 8,900 against the Bulls is the time to do it. If I'm going somewhere here, it's one of two options. I either want Brandon Miller or I want LaMelo Ball. As GPP plays today, those are the guys I want to look at. Because Brandon Miller separated his shoulder. LaMelo's LaMelo. But LaMelo Ball is not a 28-minute-a-game guy for the rest of the season, you'd think. Brandon Miller, same. There's going to come a point in time where those guys play a close game and they play like 34 minutes each. Today, with no ownership, I'll happily be wrong here. If Brandon Miller's 5% owned, give me 15. If LaMelo's 3% owned, give me 15. And if this is a reason that I don't win money tonight, like I don't care at all. Because these are the angles that I like the most in large field contests. These situations where really good players are in good matchups, and there's no reason that they can't play 6-7 minutes more than they typically have been playing. To me, it's a no-brainer. Outstanding GPP plays. For Chicago, I'm not even going to attempt to talk about this right now. Half the team is questionable today. Depending on who's in or out, we could have tons of value for Chicago. Because this matchup's awesome. Or, like, two guys that don't matter sit. Javon Carter plays 18 minutes again, and this game ends up looking like it does. But I can't click a $9,700 Josh Giddey when there's an $8,900 LaMelo Ball in the same game. That's insane to me. I don't want to click a $7,600 Kobe White when there's a $6,700 Brandon Miller. So give me Charlotte. Give me Charlotte. Arguably the most interesting GPP team on the day. Not to mention, it's not like it's a problem to lock in these early games on DraftKings. Everything locks at the same time. So it's not like you're costing yourself the opportunity to get to something better later by getting to these dudes. It's the most natural pivot place that I think we're going to see. FanDuel side. largely the same deal. 10% ownership to Brandon Miller at 6,100. LaMelo's 8,800 and unowned. Same story I just said. Kobe White 7,200 guard forward. Yeah, like I'm just as interested in a Con Knipple here. I don't know how you click Josh Giddey with LaMelo Ball in this game. I really don't. But, if 5 other guys for the Bulls are out, that analysis is obviously slightly different. But we need all this Bulls news. We can't do anything without it. Stephen Leibowitz. I like that. I like that. Just Fistula. You don't have to roster him for the rest of the season, man. You only need him for a single day. I think the easiest way to roster anybody today is by clicking the link in the description and signing up at Stokastic to get either a weekly core or max package. So if you want NBA, you can get it for a week for 50% off. If you want all access so that you can cover NBA right now, MMA, we have an NFL Sunday coming up. It's not like that's done. College football is around. Jake's been winning every single contest he enters on the hockey side. Jake posts our projections. We don't have Sims for it, but projections and ownership. The promo code is gravy. This is our Black Friday deal, everybody. The link is in the description. Use that promo code for any weekly core or max DFS package and get half off. That's the easiest way to build lineups today. Just get the Sims. Make your life easy. Game 4. Orlando, Detroit. Pistons 2.5-point favorites. For Orlando, no news. Just still no Paolo. Franz Wagner, available. For Detroit, we got a Q tag on Jaden Ivey. More or less shouldn't matter. Marcus Sasser obviously still out. But other than the Q tag on Jaden Ivey, doesn't matter too much. The Q tag is on Jaden Ivey, not because of Jaden Ivey, but because Detroit's on a back-to-back. They play Orlando today. They play Miami tomorrow. Oh, that's a terrible back-to-back. Why are they playing a back-to-back where they're at home in Detroit today and in Miami tomorrow? Why is that not at Orlando, at Miami? So they were in Boston, fly back to Detroit for Thanksgiving to play a Florida team, and then fly to Florida to play the other Florida team. Right. Come on, NBA schedule makers. You could be better than that. All right. Detroit, Orlando. That's FanDuel. We'll get to it in a sec. Detroit, Orlando. We'll get to that right now. So, for this one, highest owned guy in the game to start the day, $7,800 center Jalen Duren. I don't really have much of a say here. Like, I'm not surprised that he's 20. The underlying data all looks good. I don't love it because I like Orlando's just never a fun matchup. Let's take a peek at it. I can hope to explain why, assuming that the information in my head is in fact the correct information. So, Orlando, 4th in adjusted defensive rating. We're obviously not surprised to see that. Their defense has been exceptional, and it still is. They're a middle-of-the-pack pace team this year. Realistically, I would have expected it to be even slower, but still, middle-of-the-pack pace matchup, really good defense. That's where we stand there. Detroit, obviously, also really good defensively and a middle-of-the-pack pace matchup. So this isn't the best DFS spot in the world. Now, it should be a pretty competitive game, and those are the situations that I also find interesting, but as an environment, it's not the best. So while I don't mind going to Duren, he's not a guy that I like. I don't see this as a spot where I'm like, I should probably like 2x Duren. Because whether it's Wendell Carter Jr. out there or Goga out there, plus the rest of the defense, Dern will work harder in this one than he'll work hard in most. I think $6,700 Suggs is interesting. $5,500 Asar Thompson. He's like a little bit more expensive than those Brooklyn guys, but you start thinking about comparing him to like Zaire Williams, and you get, the price is clearly massively different. But if you want to go different direction at small forward, I have no issue whatsoever getting to an $8,600 Franz. I have a real hard time wanting to get to Cade here. Let me just look at one or two things for Cade. I want to make sure that this matchup really does look the way that I think it does. So obviously, Cade can't score anywhere efficiently. He's shooting 58% at the rim. That's 19th percentile. Shooting 29.9% from three. That's 12th percentile. It's helping that he's now getting to the line more. 7.9 free throws per 75 possessions. That's up 2.5. That's his saving grace right now. But struggles to finish, struggles to shoot from three. And it's not an attempts thing. This dude gets to the rim and jacks up threes. All very good. Again, I love Cade. But these are just real things that are happening while Cade Cunningham plays basketball. And I think we need to address them. So, for Orlando, the Magic don't really allow a ton of shots at the rim. They're 9th in shooting percentage, rather. So when they do, like, people don't score. We know that. Great defense. From an attempts perspective, Orlando is 22nd in rim attempts. They allow the most mid-range shots and the most threes. So they're really going to be able to stop Cade from efficiently getting to the rim. It's a bad spot for Cade to attack the basket. Realistically, he should have more three-point opportunities here. Your mileage may vary on if that's a good thing or a bad thing. This is a spot that I think we're going to look at when the game is over. And the outcome of Cade Cunningham for today is going to be entirely dependent on what his performance was in the mid-range. Because I think he'll take more shots from mid-range today than he typically does. And when it comes to those shots, if he's having a shot-making day, I'm going to like Cade. But if the mid-range is struggling, I think this is a really difficult spot for Cade Cunningham. But there's not much else here. You want to roll the dice on Bane. I get it. But the down-the-line guys here, it's just not that kind of game environment. On FanDuel's side, $6,700 point guard, shooting guard Jalen Suggs is the guy breaking free. 20% owned, 20% optimal. Everybody else is sub 10. On FanDuel, it's sort of always just like play the stars unless there's broken prices. And that's what you see at the top. Of anybody getting more than 5% ownership, Suggs, Franz, Asar Thompson, Bane, and Dern. It's Suggs pretty clearly to me, but not with any sort of like, you gotta have this guy type situation. That said, I think Jalen Suggs is the most important player on the Orlando Magic. Because when he's not around, everybody sucks. It's crazy. It's crazy. Game number 5. Wizards Pacers. Pacers 6.5 point favorites. We got a Q tag on Keyshawn George. Corey Kispert is going to be out for a while. Broken thumb? What's it? Thumb? Wrist? I don't know. Trey Johnson also out. Something in his arm, I believe. But yeah, Q-tag Keyshawn George did miss the last one, but keep an eye on that. And then for the Pacers, we got a Q-tag on Andrew Nembhard, right? Quad contusion. No Neesmith, no Furphy, no Top. You guys know all of those by now. No Andrew Nembhard would be interesting for the Benedict Mathurin and TJ McConnells of the world. But let's go ahead and see what these guys look like right now as we grab Washington and Indy. And oh baby, are y'all ready? TJ McConnell, 4K, point guard only, 57% optimal, 57% owned, 53% optimal. I don't know how you dodge it. That's great value right now. Travis, I don't think he'd start. I would almost guarantee it. We would get like Peter or Ray J. Dennis or something. But McConnell won't start. But 4K, 50% owned, kind of the best play of the day. But we don't stop there. They don't refuse to start TJ. They can't start TJ. There's a giant difference. He won't play 30 minutes. Basically a 0% chance, though. I think realistically, you're hoping for like 24. It doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. He's 50% owned with a 20-minute projection off the bench. All of these hypotheticals are completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter if Nembhard plays or doesn't play. TJ McConnell is going to be the chalk today, one way or the other. J Huff is also quite owned at 3,800. Power forward, center eligible, 35% owned, 45% optimal. And I get it. That power forward eligibility carries so much weight. It's nuts. So much weight. He spaces the floor, protects the rim as much as a backup center is going to that can space the floor. I'm a little nervous about it being a third of the lineups right now, but still cheap. Happy to go there. Benedict Mathurin, Pascal Siakam. Those are the two names that I think are most interesting. Because if Andrew Nembhard is out, Mathurin and Siakam are going to get much more ball handling, more shot attempts if they want them. And it's not like Mathurin and Siakam were lacking in shot attempts to begin with. Jarris Walker will look a little bit better. Someone else is going to step into point guard run. TBD on that one, but that will become a value piece if Nembhard ends up out. But you can see McConnell, Huff, Mathurin, Siakam, Nembhard, Walker. The 6 highest owned guys on the DraftKings side are all coming from the Indiana Pacers. The highest owned guy from the Wiz is $7,300 Alex Sarr. If Keyshawn George is out, then I think we start having some opportunities to get to like Cam Whitmore. Like realistically, like even CJ McCollum looks a little bit better. Sarr's just kind of always him, like himself, not like him. So I don't think we're going to end up getting a lot of the Wiz. But that Keyshawn George news will tell the real story here. Now on FanDuel, it's a different experience. Still heavy chalk to TJ McConnell, but he's 4,600 on FanDuel, 40% owned. And then it falls off a bit. It's still a lot of Indy, Mathurin, Nembhard, Siakam, J Huff, but Mathurin's 20, Nembhard is 12. Siakam's 10. Huff is less than that. This is a very different game, depending on whether you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel, because these guys aren't priced down the same way. Now, again, if Nembhard is out, $9,100 Siakam looks good. Mathurin still looks good. Jarris Walker looks better. Why he has power forward center eligibility, I'll never know. And then again, if we don't have Keyshawn George, it starts to make guys like Bilal Coulibaly or Cam Whitmore be reasonable GPP plays. All right. For the 193 of you that are in the door right now, hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. It's always very, very helpful. And I talk about Tails a lot on this show. I just want to remind you guys can download the Tails app from any app store if you want it mobily. You can just go to OddsShopper.com and browse Tails as well. If you're looking for sports betting picks, parlays, pick'em cards, DFS coverage, it's all free on Tails. Follow along to any individual if you'd like. Anything they post to the free picks feed, you get to see it. Some people have paid subscriptions. You're not required to get any of that. It doesn't cost you anything to get the app. But if you want to sign up through somebody like Eric or like friend of the program, DK DFS, who's going to be on Deeper Dive with me later tonight, you can subscribe to those guys in there as well. So download the app. And if you do, don't be afraid to give us a like and a review. If you could hit us with a couple stars, preferably 5, we wouldn't hate that either. So we move on to the final game of the DraftKings slate. The Milwaukee Bucks at the New York Knicks. Bucks on the front end of a back-to-back. They're 7.5-point dogs. They've got Brooklyn tomorrow. Back in Milwaukee. That's stupid. Giannis is questionable. Missed the last 4. That's really the only news we have for the Milwaukee side. For the Knicks, they are not on a back-to-back. They play Toronto on Sunday. And for right now, it's still just Shamet and Anunoby. So not a lot to read into right now for this game, other than one of the best players in the world figuring out whether or not he's playing today. Assuming Giannis is in, he's the only guy from Milwaukee getting any sort of ownership, and he's the only guy on Milwaukee that should get any sort of ownership. If Giannis plays, you do not play anybody else from Milwaukee. They're all overpriced. If Giannis doesn't play, some of these guys will look a little bit better, but again, they're already sort of up in price. 11.5 for Giannis. I have absolutely no problem taking him against the Knicks. That said, $9,500 power forward Karl Anthony Towns is 25% owned. I think he's in a fantastic spot. $6,800 Josh Hart is about 20. Jalen Brunson is about 15. Those are the 3 names of people that I would want. I probably am least interested in Josh Hart, but fine. Guy fills the stat sheet at least. Towns looks awesome. We've got a lot of these 9K power forward-ish options. I mentioned Mobley before. I think Towns looks very reasonable. 8,800 for Brunson. If Giannis is in, I can't say that I love it, but at the same time, it's Jalen Brunson. There's no, he can smash whenever. That's why he's got a 30% boom rate. That's a pretty nice price tag, too. So I'm ranking it Towns, Brunson, Hart of those 3 Knicks guys that are getting any love. And then it's Giannis only. But we obviously need that news. Because if Giannis doesn't play, he has a lot to do with the Bucks. I guess a lot of stuff runs through him. I haven't been paying attention. And then we get to this one on the FanDuel end, Milwaukee, New York. Not a lot to write home about here. Just north of 10% ownership on Hart, Towns. Giannis is here, 11.5, power forward only. McBride snuck to 10. Ryan Rollins snuck to 10. This is just not that kind of game. This is not a spot you're looking for DFS anything. It just isn't. There's no like those 25% boom guys, Hart, Giannis, Towns, Rollins. That's all fine. 9,300 for Brunson on FanDuel is going to be a real tough click for me. That's more than I'm looking for. So, everything we've talked about for the past 45 minutes is included in the DraftKings main slate. The next 5 games are not on the DraftKings main slate. Let me try to remember if I can get all of these teams. I don't think I'm going to be able to. That's going to be Dallas, Denver, Clippers, Lakers, Memphis, OKC, Phoenix, San Antonio, Sacramento, Utah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Got it. Nice. Good for me. So here's what's really crazy. %25 ownership to Nikola Jokic on FanDuel at 12.7. 20% ownership to Peyton Watson at 5,100. Power forward only. And then no one else in all 10 teams got north of 20% ownership on the FanDuel side. We get this giant pack of guys in the teens here. Achua, Westbrook, Zubats, Jamal Murray, DeRozan, Keontae George, Lauri Markkanen, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray. It's just a bunch of flat ownership. Now, some of these guys are jumping out a little bit more, some a little bit less. Zoo, for instance, has some negative leverage. Someone like John Collins has some positive leverage. Clearly, I don't have a single thing to add about Nikola Jokic being 25% owned. If you can't crack the Nikola Jokic code on a slate-by-slate basis, change it up. Like, if you get him, great. If you don't, also fine. Watson stepping into this bigger minute role now with Aaron Gordon out and with Christian Brown out. We've seen Cam Johnson get massively more minutes as of late. Achua has become like a weird Westbrook Achua. Isn't that a wide receiver on the Dolphins? Steven, that's good. That's good. But he looks fine here. 3,800 power forward center, and they're playing him. Like, it's hard to ask for much more. But there's nothing separating from the pack here. Outside of, I guess, technically Nikola Jokic, a player that requires the least amount of information of anyone in the world. Speaking of information, I got to hit you guys with the schedule for the rest of the day because while today is Friday and we're coming in off of Thanksgiving, people might not know what we're doing for today, but it's very easy. We are jam-packed with content today. This show is obviously going on right now. The NFL Strategy Show will be at 10 a.m. immediately after this. Coming up next, you get Lofty and you get Greg. But it doesn't end there. NFL Showdown, live before lock at 2 p.m. with Greg and Eric. Because we got football today, folks. Bears, Eagles. I know Lofty's probably extra stoked. But we've got a bonus show today. 2 o'clock for a 3 p.m. kickoff. So you get an NFL strategy show with Lofty and Greg. And you get Greg and Eric breaking down our one NFL game. We don't stop there. 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. NHL live before lock. Hockey is still here. And then tonight, 2 straight hours of coverage. Myself and DK DFS on the deeper dive at 5:30. Reminder, 5:30. The lock is at 7:30. And then Greg and Spags will close it out 6:30 p.m. Eastern time for live before lock. Yeah. Ken, yeah, absolutely. I didn't even mention that, but obviously college football's here too. If you're looking for college football bets, get yourselves on Tails and start following Ben Raza. Probably want to grab yourself some Matt Gajeski as well. Jeremy, I didn't even know there was an NFL game today. If it helps, Jeremy, I learned that there was an NFL game today when I pulled up that schedule and read it to you guys. So we're in the same boat right now. I'm going to hit you guys with one last reminder. The Black Friday deal is 50% off any weekly core or max package. If you want to get the Sims, whether that's NBA, NFL, or get an all access package and get it all, the promo code is gravy. The link is in the description. Click it, sign up, and come see what all the fuss is about. Come see the place that's created 4 new Millie winners over the past couple months. Seems like a really nice place to be. I've taken a pretty good lap through this one. It is an incredibly unique slate. We don't usually see this kind of split where all 6 games lock at the same time on DraftKings, and there's still 5 more to go on FanDuel. It does create a really nice like dueling slate situation. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. I'm excited to play the slate because I can prep and walk away from it, and it doesn't matter at all. Like, I don't have to pay attention. And the real fun part about this DraftKings slate, the thing that I haven't said yet, wherever you are in the standings is where you are in the standings. It's not typically how it is because the late games. But now, like, all these games get to halftime and you're in first. That carries a lot more weight than it typically does. You get to sweat the whole time. From 7:30 till 9 p.m. when those games likely end, you get to sweat that the whole way. Unless you're out, obviously. But that's where we're at right now. It's a fun day of sports, man. One of the best of the year. Between NFL football, college football, basketball. I'm sure there's college basketball on. Shout out to Duke from last night. That was a fun watch. We got a never-ending supply of stuff today. So keep your eyes peeled to my Twitter, to all of the individual and company Twitters that we have here today. Keep your eyes peeled on Tails, because there's just a ton of content. We're blowing it out for Black Friday. So don't go stomp anybody's head out for a TV at Walmart. Stick around here and watch all of our content, either on your phone or on your computer, and skip that TV. Enjoy your Black Friday, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Friday just in general. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I will see you guys later tonight.